Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really digging into a classic, aren't we?
We absolutely are. Stephen Covey's The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Yeah.
It's one of those books that just keeps resonating.
Exactly. And our goal here isn't just to skim the surface, list the habits. Many of you probably know the basics. We want to go deeper, pull out the core insights, maybe some surprising angles, especially how these ideas land today, drawing from, well, decades of impact.
Right. Think of this as a shortcut, maybe, to the why behind it all.
Yeah.
Why these principles stick. It's not about quick fixes, which Covey himself was very critical of. It's about building a foundation for real, lasting change. Whether that's, in your personal life, with family, at work, anywhere, really.
So we'll look at the habits themselves, sure, but more the why they're fundamental and how they apply now in this, frankly, pretty overwhelming world we live in.
Cutting through the noise to find genuine effectiveness. That's the idea.
Okay, so expect some aha moments, hopefully.
Yeah.
And definitely some practical stuff you can actually use. Let's unpack this. All right, so to really get this, we kind of have to start where Covey starts, with this big distinction he makes. He looked at, the last century of success literature and saw a trend. He called it the personality ethic. What exactly was that about?
Yeah, the personality ethic. It basically focused on the surface, things like your social image, communication techniques, positive thinking, power strategies.
Like smiling wins more friends, or that conceive it, believe it, achieve it idea.
Those kinds of things. And look, some of it might seem useful, maybe even harmless. But Covey's point was, when that becomes the whole focus, it's superficial. It could even become, manipulative, like pretending to be interested in someone's hobbies just to get something from them. He called it social band-aids and aspirin. It might fix a small, immediate problem, like smoothing over an awkward conversation. But it does absolutely nothing for the deeper, chronic issues, the underlying character stuff. That always comes out eventually, especially in long-term relationships.
Okay, so that's the personality ethic. What's the alternative he champions?
The character ethic. This is the foundation he argues for. It's about bedrock principles. Things like integrity, humility, fidelity, courage, justice, patience, hard work.
It's about who you are deep down, not just the image you project.
Precisely. It's your core.
And he uses a really personal story to illustrate this, right?
Okay.
About his son in baseball.
Oh, yeah, that's a powerful one. His son was struggling badly in baseball, not athletic, striking out, feeling awful. And Covey and his wife, Sandra, they try the personality ethic stuff.
What do they do? Like positive pep talks?
Yep. Positive mental attitude, you can do it. Encouraging him, even, getting after other kids who were teasing him, trying to engineer success from the outside.
And it didn't work.
It totally backfired. Boys just felt more pressured, cried, wanted to quit. The realization Covey had, and this is key, was that their efforts were actually about their own image, their social comparison motives. How did their son's failure make them look?
Ouch. That's honest.
It is. They weren't really seeing the situation from the son's perspective, his intrinsic worth.
Yeah.
They were trying to fix his behavior, the outside, without looking at their own motives, their own paradigms, the inside.
So the problem wasn't really the son, it was their map, their approach.
Exactly. It was an outside-in failure. This leads to Covey's idea of primary greatness versus secondary greatness. Primary greatness is character. It's who you are. Secondary greatness is like public recognition, skills, charm, but without the solid character foundation.
And the secondary stuff alone doesn't last.
It can't, especially not in relationships that matter. Your true motives, your core character, it eventually surfaces. You can't fake integrity long-term. Principles, Covey argued, are like natural laws, like gravity. You can try to ignore them, try to shortcut them, but you'll eventually face the consequences. It's the bedrock for everything else.
Okay, so if our character, our inner core, influences how we act, it also influences how we see things, right? This brings us to paradigms.
Absolutely. Paradigms are basically our mental maps, the assumptions we have about the way things are or the way things should be, and we often don't even know we have them.
We just think that's reality.
We think we see things objectively. But Covey's famous line is, the map is not the territory. Our perception isn't reality itself, it's just our interpretation of reality.
He uses that great analogy, right? Trying to navigate Chicago with a map of Detroit.
Yeah. Imagine that frustration. You could have the best attitude, be super diligent, drive perfectly, but you're completely lost and getting nowhere fast.
Because the map is wrong.
Because the fundamental map, your paradigm, is flawed. And we all carry these maps, shaping how we interpret everything, people's actions, situations, everything.
Which explains how two perfectly reasonable people can see the same thing totally differently.
Totally. Covey demonstrated this often with that classic old woman, young woman optical illusion.
Ah, yes, I know that one. You show it to people conditioned to see one image.
And you see the old woman. Show it to others conditioned differently.
They see the young woman, and they can argue endlessly, both absolutely convinced they're right, that they're seeing it objectively.
Because our conditioning, our paradigms act like filters, powerful lenses. Covey's big takeaway here is profound. We see the world not as it is, but as we are, or as we are conditioned to see it.
Wow. So it's less about objective reality and more about our subjective interpretation.
And recognizing that is crucial for understanding others. People aren't necessarily being difficult. They might just have a different map, a different frame of reference.
Okay, so if paradigms are our maps, what happens when the map changes, those aha moments?
Those are paradigm shifts.
Yeah.
That sudden flash of understanding when you see things in a completely new light. Thomas Kuhn talked about this in Science, but Covey really applied it to personal perception.
In the story he tells about the subway, that's maybe the most powerful example of this.
It really is. It hits hard. He's on a quiet subway car one Sunday morning, peaceful scene.
Right. Then this man gets on with his kids, and they're just running wild.
Completely out of control, yelling, throwing things, bothering people, and the father just sits there, eyes closed, totally passive.
And Covey's getting more and more irritated, thinking, this guy is so inconsiderate, control your kids.
Understandably, right. Most of us would feel that way. So finally, Covey leans over and says something, suggests maybe he should manage his children a bit better.
And the man's response?
It changes everything. The man looks up, almost dazed, and says softly, "Oh, you're right. I guess I should do something about it. We just came from the hospital where their mother died about an hour ago. I don't know what to think, and I guess they don't know how to handle it either."
Chills. Just instantly changes everything.
Instantly. Covey said his irritation just vanished. Poof. It wasn't replaced by tolerance. It was replaced by sympathy, compassion, a desire to help.
He didn't try to change his attitude. His whole perception shifted.
The paradigm shifted. The behavior of the father and children hadn't changed, but the meaning he attached to it was completely different. He saw it through a new lens.
So the point isn't just about getting new information.
No, it's deeper. It's about how our own character, our capacity for empathy, our willingness to suspend judgment, actually enables or limits what we can see. What we see is highly interrelated to what we are.
Our being affects our seeing.
Exactly. To see differently often requires us to be differently. This is huge, especially today. How quick are we to judge someone's actions or motives online or in traffic or anywhere without knowing their map, their reality?
Very quick.
Understanding paradigms and being open to shifts is fundamental for any kind of significant change, not just fiddling around the edges.
Okay, so understanding ourselves, our maps, our potential for shifts, that sets us up for growth. Covey talks about a path here, the maturity continuum.
Right. It's a framework for understanding development. It moves through 3 stages: dependence, independence, and interdependence.
Dependence is where we start. Like infants, you take care of me. It's the paradigm of you.
Then we strive for independence. I could do it myself. This is the paradigm of I. Self-reliance, making our own choices, taking responsibility. It's a major achievement.
Well, Covey argues it's not the end goal, right? Especially in today's world.
Exactly. Independence is vital, but it's insufficient for effectiveness in an inherently interdependent reality, like families, teams, organizations. Trying to succeed in those environments purely through independence is, like his analogy, trying to play tennis with a golf club.
Wrong tool for the game.
The tool doesn't fit the reality. Interdependence is the paradigm of we. We can do it together. We can cooperate. We can combine our talents. It recognizes that collective achievement is often greater than individual effort.
And critically, interdependence is a choice only independent people can make. Dependent people can't really choose it.
That's a key insight. You need that sense of self, that independence, before you can effectively choose to cooperate and collaborate without losing yourself.
Okay, so this journey towards interdependence, it relies on a really core principle. Covey introduces the PPC balance, and he uses that fable.
Aesop's fable of the goose and the golden egg. It's such a perfect illustration.
Remind us quickly, the farmer gets a goose.
That lays a golden egg every day. Fantastic. But the farmer gets greedy. He wants all the eggs now.
So he kills the goose.
Kills the goose, cuts it open, finds nothing. And tragically, he's destroyed the very thing that produced his wealth.
Okay, so how does this relate to effectiveness?
P stands for Production, the golden eggs,
Right.
the results you want. PC stands for production capability of the goose, the asset or resource that produces those results. The PPC balance principle states that true effectiveness requires balancing both. You need the production, the eggs, but you also must nurture and maintain the production capability, the goose.
If you focus only on P, the results.
You neglect PC, the asset. Eventually, the asset breaks down and you lose the ability to produce altogether. Like the farmer.
And this applies everywhere.
Everywhere. Think physical assets. Run a machine constantly without maintenance, neglecting PC, and it breaks. No more P. Financial assets. Go for short-term profits by cutting corners. P focus. And you might destroy customer trust or long-term sustainability, eroding PC.
And human assets. This feels crucial.
It's probably the most important application. In a marriage, if you only focus on getting your needs met, the golden eggs, P, without investing in the relationship itself, kindness, listening, understanding, the goose, PC, the relationship withers.
Same with kids, focusing only on obedience now, without teaching and connecting PC.
Right. You might get short-term compliance through manipulation or indulgence, but you stunt their internal discipline and damage the long-term relationship with PC. Today, think about burnout. We push for constant output, P, but neglect rest, renewal, relationships, PC. It's unsustainable.
Covey has that nice story about his daughter in Star Wars, right?
Yeah.
As a PC moment.
Yeah, a great example of PC work. He wanted a special date. She chose Star Wars. She hesitated, saying something like, "Dad, I know you don't like these fantasy movies."
But then she adds this kicker.
She says, "You know why? Because you don't understand the philosophy and training of a Jedi Knight." And she starts explaining it, connecting it to his own principles,
Ah, that's brilliant.
isn't it? And Covey realized, wow, instead of just enduring the movie, he decided to become her student. He listened, asked questions, genuinely tried to understand her world.
So the P was watching the movie together, but the real value was the PC work.
Exactly. He invested in the relationship, built understanding and trust, PC, which made the shared experience far richer. He showed he valued her. That's a massive PC deposit. It reminds us that sometimes the best production isn't output, it's connection.
All right, so that foundation, character, ethic, paradigms, PPC balance sets the stage for the habits themselves. The first three are called the private victories.
That's right. Habits 1, 2, and 3. They're all about self-mastery, moving from dependence to independence.
And Covey is adamant you can't mix up the order, right?
Absolutely not. He says you can't invert that process any more than you can harvest a crop before you plant it. It's inside out. You have to win the private victory first, build that character and self-discipline before you can achieve lasting success with others.
Okay, let's dive into habit 1, be proactive. Where does this start?
It starts with a fundamental human quality, self-awareness, the ability to think about our own thinking, to stand apart from ourselves and observe our thoughts, moods, habits.
Animals don't have this, right? They just react based on instinct or conditioning.
Exactly. But we can evaluate our programming, we can learn from our experiences and others, we can choose to change our habits. This self-awareness is the first step to taking charge.
And this directly challenges that idea that we're just products of our circumstances, determinism.
Precisely. It challenges genetic determinism, blaming your DNA, psychic determinism, blaming your upbringing, and environmental determinism, blaming your boss or spouse or the economy. The most powerful illustration of overcoming determinism is Viktor Frankl's story.
The psychiatrist in the Nazi death camps.
Yeah, he came from a Freudian deterministic background. He suffered unimaginable horrors, lost everything. Yet in that hell, he discovered something profound. He realized that between the stimulus, what was happening to him, and his response, there was a space. And in that space lay his power to choose his response.
His captors could control his environment, his body even, but not his inner freedom.
Not his ultimate freedom. The freedom to choose his attitude, to find meaning even in suffering. That's the essence of proactivity.
So it's about responsibility, our ability to choose our response.
A perfect way to put it. Proactive people understand this. Their behavior is a product of their conscious choices, based on values, not just their feelings or conditions. Reactive people are driven by feelings, circumstances, the weather.
You can hear it in the language, right? Reactive, I can't, I have to, if only. Proactive, I can, I choose, I will.
Absolutely. Language reflects our underlying paradigm. Choosing proactive language actually reinforces our ability to choose. Especially today, with constant pings and demands, it's easy to feel reactive. Proactivity means consciously choosing how we engage, taking ownership.
Okay, talk about the circle of influence versus the circle of concern. How does that help us be proactive?
It's a brilliant model. Your circle of concern includes everything that worries you or matters to you. It can be huge things like climate change or smaller things like office politics or your kids' choices.
Things we care about.
Right, but within that large circle is a smaller circle of influence. These are the things you can actually do something about. Your health habits, your skills, your attitude, how you treat people.
So proactive people focus where?
On their circle of influence. They work on the things they can change. They don't waste energy blaming or complaining about things in their circle of concern they can't control. And interestingly, as they focus positively on their influence,
It expands.
it tends to expand. Reactive people do the opposite. They focus on the circle of concern, on the weaknesses of others, on problems they can't control. This leads to blaming, victim mentality, and their actual influence shrinks.
Well, Covey realized with his son and baseball, focusing on his parenting influence was the key, not just the son's performance.
Exactly. Or the executive who stopped complaining about the president's weaknesses, concern, and focused on presenting well-thought-out solutions, influence, and saw his own credibility and impact grow.
Covey also says something powerful. Love is a verb. What's the proactive angle there?
It shifts love from being just a feeling, which can be reactive, coming and going, to being an action, a choice, proactive, if someone feels the love is gone in a relationship.
The proactive response isn't just to wait for the feeling to return.
No. The proactive advice is love them, as in act lovingly. Serve, sacrifice, listen, empathize, appreciate, affirm, choose the action.
And the feeling often follows the action.
Very often, yes. Hollywood often gets it backwards.
Yeah.
Proactive love is a commitment, a value demonstrated through action. It's a choice you make, day in, day out.
Okay, so habit 1 gives us awareness and choice. Habit 2, begin with the end in mind, seems to be about direction, purpose.
Precisely. It's about knowing where you're going. Covey powerfully introduces this with the funeral visualization exercise.
Right. Imagine your own funeral. What do you want people, family, friends, colleagues to sincerely say about you, about your life, your character, your impact?
It's a bit morbid, maybe, but incredibly effective. It forces you to confront your deepest values, what really matters to you at the end of the day, what defines success on your terms.
It connects you to that inner compass.
Exactly. Beginning with the end in mind means having that clear destination so you can make sure the steps you're taking today are actually moving you in that direction.
And this helps avoid the activity trap.
Oh, hugely. We can be so busy, so efficient, climbing that ladder of success.
Only to realize it's leaning against the wrong wall.
That's the nightmare scenario. Habit 2 helps prevent. Being busy isn't the same as being effective. Effectiveness requires that your efforts are aligned with your ultimate purpose.
Covey talks about all things are created twice. What does that mean?
It's a fundamental principle. There's a mental or first creation, and then a physical or second creation.
Like a blueprint for a house is the first creation.
And building the actual house is the second. Planting a garden starts with a plan. Raising kids effectively starts with envisioning the kind of adults you hope they become.
So if we don't consciously take charge of that first creation,
Then we live by default. We let other people, circumstances, past habits, or just the path of least resistance dictate our lives. We follow scripts someone else wrote for us.
so habit 1 says, you are the creator.
And habit 2 is the first creation. It's about consciously writing your own script, designing your own life based on your deepest values.
This leads to that distinction between leadership and management. Which one is habit 2?
Habit 2 is all about leadership, the first creation, defining the vision, the direction, the values. Management is the second creation, the execution, the efficiency.
And he uses that unforgettable jungle analogy.
Right, the managers are down in the thicket, sharpening their machetes, efficiently cutting through the undergrowth, organizing schedules.
Super busy, making progress.
While the leader is the one who climbs the tallest tree, surveys the whole situation, and yells.
Wrong jungle.
Exactly. In today's world, with constant change and uncertainty, leadership having that clear vision, that inner compass based on principles, is arguably more crucial than ever. We need the right direction even more than we need speed.
So how do we apply this? How do we write our own script?
Covey strongly recommends developing a personal mission statement. Think of it as your personal constitution.
Like a written declaration of your core values and purpose.
Yes. It defines who you want to be, character, what you want to do, contributions, and the principles you'll live by. It becomes your standard for evaluating everything else.
And it's meant to be relatively stable.
Fundamentally changeless at its core, anchored in principles, just like a national constitution provides stability through changing times. It gives you something solid to hold on to.
He also talks about different life centers, things people build their lives around, like money, family, spouse, work, pleasure.
Right. He analyzes the common centers people derive their security, guidance, wisdom, and power from, and he points out the inherent vulnerabilities in each external center.
Like if you're spouse-centered, your emotional stability depends entirely on their mood or behavior.
Exactly. Or money-centered means constant anxiety about finances. Pleasure-centered leads to emptiness. Even being enemy-centered, where you define yourself in opposition to someone else.
That lets them control you in a way.
Totally. You become reactive, your whole map distorted by their actions. Covey's point is that any center outside of correct principles will eventually prove unstable.
So the ideal is to be
Principle-centered, centering your life on timeless, universal principles like fairness, integrity, service, human dignity. This provides an unchanging core. It gives you consistent guidance, intrinsic self-worth not dependent on others' opinions, and the proactive power to act based on values, not just react to circumstances.
So if your boss asks you to do something unethical, a principle-centered person
Can draw strength from their core values like integrity to make a proactive choice, rather than reacting out of fear, job-centered, or desire to please, boss-centered. It empowers quality decisions.
Okay, so habit 1 is choice. Habit 2 is vision. Habit 3. But first things first must be the action part, right? The execution.
Exactly. It's the second creation, the physical creation. It's where habits 1 and 2 come together in practice. Covey says, manage from the left, lead from the right.
Meaning?
Lead with your right brain vision, creativity, purpose, habit 2. Then manage with your left brain logic, organization, execution, habit 3. Leadership decides what the first things are. Management is putting them first, day by day.
What's the key personal quality needed for this habit?
It really comes down to independent will and personal integrity. The ability to make a promise or commitment to yourself and then keep it. It's about honoring your word to yourself.
Self-discipline, basically.
Yes, but driven from the inside by your values, not imposed from the outside. Covey quotes E.M. Gray. Successful people form the habit of doing things failures don't like to do. Why? Because they subordinate their dislike to the strength of their purpose. Their why is bigger than their I don't feel like it.
That relates directly to saying no, doesn't it? Which is often something we don't like to do.
Absolutely critical. Saying no effectively is a core skill for habit 3. We're bombarded with requests, opportunities, distractions.
How do you say no without feeling guilty or damaging relationships?
Covey's insight is powerful. You can only say a genuine guilt-free no to unimportant things when you have a bigger yes burning inside.
A clear sense of your own priorities, your mission.
Exactly. When you know what your true first things are from habit 2, you have a standard for evaluating everything else. You realize that saying yes to something less important means saying no to something that truly matters. The enemy of the best is often the good. You have to choose.
Okay, so how do we practically identify and prioritize these first things? The time management matrix comes in here, right?
Yes, the famous 4 quadrants. It categorizes activities based on urgency and importance.
Quadrant 4 is urgent and important crises, deadlines.
Quadrant 3 is urgent but not important. Many interruptions, some meetings, popular activities.
Quadrant 4 is not urgent and not important trivia, time wasters.
But the heart of effective personal management, Covey argues, is quadrant 2. Important, but not urgent.
What kinds of things fall into Q2?
Relationship building, long-range planning, exercise, preparation, prevention, clarifying values, seeking out new opportunities, sharpening the saw, basically.
The stuff we know we should do but often don't because it's not screaming for attention right now.
Precisely. Effective people focus on quadrant 2. They minimize time in 3 and 4, and by investing in prevention and planning, Q2, they actually shrink the number of crises that land in Q1. They work on the roots, not just the leaves.
And he advocated for weekly organizing around Q2, not just daily to-do lists.
Right. Daily planning often keeps you trapped in urgency, reacting to the day's demands. Weekly organizing gives you a broader perspective, allows you to schedule your priorities, those Q2 activities first, before the week fills up with other people's urgencies. It's about proactively structuring your time around what matters most.
Another key management skill here is delegation. He contrasts go for delegation with stewardship delegation. Big difference.
Huge difference. Go for delegation is micromanaging. Go for this, go for that, do it exactly this way. It's focused on methods. Like Covey trying to direct every single camera movement when his wife was filming. Exhausting and ineffective.
Stewardship delegation is?
It's focused on results. You empower the other person. You clarify the desired results, the what, not the how. Provide necessary guidelines, boundaries, principles. Identify resources available. Set up clear accountability. How progress will be measured. And define consequences. What happens upon success or failure?
You give them ownership.
You give them ownership of the result and freedom on the method. It requires more trust and more time up front to set up, but the payoff in terms of developing people, building capability, and freeing up your own time for higher-level tasks is immense.
He tells that detailed story about his 7-year-old son and the yard work.
Yeah, the green and clean yard. That's a fantastic illustration of stewardship delegation with a child.
He trained him thoroughly on what green and clean meant, made him the boss, himself the helper.
Right. Set up the results, guidelines, resources, tools, accountability, weekly inspection, and consequences, allowance or specific help.
But then the son didn't do anything at first, and Covey got frustrated.
Almost fell back into go for delegation. But he held back, let the son experience the consequences. Then the son finally confessed, "Dad, it's so hard."
And Covey's response was key.
Instead of criticizing, he empathized. What's hard? He listened, offered help as a resource, but kept the responsibility with the son. It built the son's self-management, strengthened their relationship, PC. It showed that borrowing strength builds weakness. You have to let people develop their own muscles.
Okay, so habits 1, 2, 3, build that foundation of independence. Now we move outward to the public victories, habits 4, 5, and 6. These are about working effectively with others, right? Interdependence.
Exactly. And the transition hinges on another powerful metaphor Covey uses, the emotional bank account.
Explain that. What is it?
Think of it as the amount of trust that's been built up in a relationship, a feeling of safety and goodwill. You make deposits through acts of kindness, courtesy, honesty, keeping promises, showing integrity.
And withdrawals.
Withdrawals happen through discourtesy, disrespect, breaking trust, overreacting, betrayal, ignoring someone.
So a high balance means
Communication is easy, open, effective. Mistakes are forgiven quickly because there's reserve of trust. You can be vulnerable without fear.
and an overdrawn account.
Every interaction is tense. You're walking on eggshells. Communication is guarded, defensive. There's politicking, backbiting. Trust is gone. And the crucial thing, especially in ongoing relationships like marriage or with kids or close colleagues, is that you need constant deposits. Old deposits can evaporate, and small, unintentional withdrawals happen all the time. Quick fixes don't work here. It requires consistent effort.
Covey lists 6 major ways to make deposits. Let's hit a few key ones. Understanding the individual.
This is maybe the most fundamental. What counts as a deposit is determined by the receiver, not the giver.
Yeah.
You have to understand what's important to the other person.
Like the story of the professor whose deposits with his son, pushing academics, were actually withdrawals because the son valued manual work.
Exactly. The father didn't understand his son's world, his values. So his efforts, though well-intentioned perhaps, felt like judgment and rejection. In our diverse world, taking the time to truly understand another's perspective, their needs, their priorities, that's a huge deposit.
Another one, attending to the little things.
So important. He tells that story about taking his son on an outing, and later the son remembers not the big event, but the small gesture of his father covering him with his coat when he fell asleep.
In relationships, the little things are the big things.
They really are. Consistent small kindnesses, courtesies, moments of attention, they build trust incrementally but powerfully over time. Neglecting them can lead to slow erosion.
And keeping commitments.
Massive. Breaking a promise is a huge withdrawal. Keeping your word, even in small things, builds incredible trust. It demonstrates integrity.
Which leads to clarifying expectations. Why is this a deposit?
Because unspoken or ambiguous expectations are a major source of conflict and withdrawal. We assume others know what we expect, or that our expectations are obvious. When they inevitably aren't met, disappointment and frustration follow. Taking the time upfront in any relationship or project to clearly define roles, goals, and expectations prevents so much misunderstanding and preserves trust. It's a vital investment.
And showing personal integrity. How is this different from keeping commitments?
It's broader. It includes honesty, yes, but also conforming reality to our words, acting consistently with our values. A key part Covey highlights is loyalty to those who are not present.
Not gossiping.
Exactly. If you speak negatively about someone who isn't there, the people listening know you'll likely do the same about them. It destroys trust. Defending or speaking respectfully of those absent builds huge trust with those present. Integrity means applying the same principles to everyone.
And finally, apologizing sincerely when you make a withdrawal.
Crucial. But it have to be sincere, not defensive, not blaming. A genuine apology requires character strength and security. People with low internal security often can't do it well.
Like the story of the father whose repeated insincere apologies just made things worse.
Right, because it showed a lack of real change or commitment. People will forgive mistakes, even big ones, if they sense genuine remorse and a commitment to change, a mistake of the mind. They struggle to forgive mistakes of the heart, bad intentions, prideful cover-ups.
Okay, with a healthy emotional bank account as the foundation, we can move to habit 4. Think win-win. What's the core idea here?
It's a mindset, a frame of mind and heart that constantly seeks mutual benefit in all interactions. It's not about my way or your way. It's about finding a better way together. It's fundamentally cooperative, not competitive.
But isn't so much of our society based on competition? Win-lose.
It absolutely is. School grading curves, sports, often business promotions, the legal system. Win-lose is deeply ingrained. It means if I win, you lose. Or I only win if I beat you. Covey points out the flaw in, say, a manager who talks cooperation but sets up competitive reward systems, like that race to Bermuda sales contest. You get what you reward, not what you preach. The system undermined the stated goal.
So win-win is one paradigm. What are the others?
There's win-lose, as we said. There's lose-win people-pleasing, giving in, avoiding conflict, getting walked over. There's lose-lose when two stubborn win-lose people clash, often ending in mutual destruction or revenge. And there's just win focused only on getting what you want, regardless of others.
But the highest form, he says, is win-win or no deal.
Yes. This is incredibly powerful. It means if we can't find a solution that truly benefits both of us, we agree to disagree agreeably, no deal.
Why is no deal sometimes the best option?
Because it avoids forcing one party into a lose situation, which damages the relationship, makes a withdrawal from the EBA. It preserves respect and keeps the door open for future win-win opportunities. It takes courage and abundance thinking.
That president who walked away from the $84K contract because it wasn't win-win.
And later got a $240K win-win contract with the same client. It showed integrity and commitment to the principle.
So what does it take personally to achieve win-win?
Covey highlights the balance of two character traits: courage, the willingness to state your needs and convictions, and consideration, the willingness to understand and respect the other person's needs and perspective. High courage, low consideration, win-lose. High consideration, low courage, lose-win. You need both high courage and high consideration for win-win.
And this links back to the scarcity versus abundance mentality.
Absolutely. Scarcity mentality sees life as a fixed pie. If you get a big slice, there's less for me. It breeds comparison and competition. Win-lose thrives on scarcity. Abundance mentality, flowing from habits 1, 2, and 3, inner security, sense of worth, believes there's plenty for everyone. It allows for sharing credit, recognition, profits. It fosters creativity and opens the door to win-win solutions. You can't really achieve consistent win-win without an abundance mentality.
This feels like a natural progression. To get to win-win, you first need habit 5. Seek first to understand, then to be understood.
It's the crucial communication habit. And Covey starts with that brilliant optometrist analogy.
Right, you go in with eye trouble and he just gives you his glasses. Where are these? They work great for me.
And you protest, but I can't see. And he says, try harder, be positive. It's absurd, right? You'd never go back.
Because he didn't diagnose before prescribing.
Exactly. Yet how often do we do that in our communication? We jump in with solutions and advice before we've even taken the time to deeply understand the other person's problem or perspective.
We listen with the intent to reply, not to understand.
That's the default mode for most people. We filter everything through our own experiences, our own autobiography. We're preparing our response while the other person is still talking.
Habit 5 flips that script.
Completely. It's about empathic listening. Listening not just to the words, but to the meaning, the feeling, the underlying perspective of the other person. Trying to see the world through their eyes, understand their paradigm.
Why is that so powerful?
2 main reasons. First, it gives you accurate data. You can't solve a problem you don't understand. Second, it's a massive deposit into the emotional bank account. Feeling truly heard and understood is deeply validating. It provides psychological air.
Psychological error.
Yeah, like physical air. It's essential, but often taken for granted until it's missing. Once someone feels understood, they become far more open to influence, to listening to your perspective. Diagnosis must precede prescription.
But it's hard. We tend to jump in with our own stuff. He lists those 4 autobiographical responses, right?
Yes, the communication traps we fall into when we think we're listening. Evaluating, judging, agreeing, disagreeing, probing, asking questions from our agenda, advising, giving solutions based on our experience, and interpreting, analyzing motive based on our framework.
And the example dialogue with the father and the teenage son who hate school.
It's painfully relatable. The son says school is for the birds. The father, meaning well, jumps in with evaluation, don't say that. Probing, what's wrong? Are you not studying?
Yeah.
Advising, you just need to apply yourself. And interpreting, you're just lazy.
And the son just shuts down.
Completely. Because he doesn't feel heard. The father is projecting his own map onto the son's territory. The son is thinking, you don't understand. Empathic listening would look totally different.
How? What does empathic listening actually involve?
It's more than just active listening, paying attention. It involves reflecting back, not just the content, but more importantly, the feeling.
So instead of don't say that, maybe something like, school sounds really frustrating for you right now.
Exactly. You're not agreeing or disagreeing. You're reflecting the feeling you hear behind the words. You sound really fed up, or it feels like a waste of time to you.
That opens the door for the person to elaborate, to go deeper.
It does. It shows you're trying to understand their reality. It builds trust. And often just the act of being deeply heard helps the other person understand their own feelings better.
Okay, so after you've truly understood, then you seek to be understood.
Yes. Now you've earned the right. Covey brings in the Greek concepts: ethos, your credibility, your character, the trust you've built; pathos, your empathy, showing you understand their side; and logos, the logic of your reasoning. An effective presentation follows that order. Ethos first, they trust you. Then pathos, you show you understand them. Then logos, you present your logical case. Trying to lead with logos without pathos is like the optometrist doomed to fail.
So habit 5 is really the key to unlocking win-win solutions.
Absolutely. It creates the climate of trust and understanding necessary for collaboration. And the beauty is, seeking first to understand is entirely within your circle of influence. You can always choose to listen better.
All right, building on all that, we arrive at habit 6, synergize. This sounds exciting, creative.
It is.
Yeah?
Synergy is where the magic happens. Covey defines it simply. The whole is greater than the sum of its parts. 1 + 1 = 3, or 10, or 100.
It's about creating something new together that neither person could have created alone.
Exactly. It's the third alternative. Not your way, not my way, but a higher way that emerges from mutual respect, understanding, and creativity. It's the combination of all the previous habits working together. But Covey acknowledges it can also feel, well, a bit scary.
Why scary?
Because true synergy requires opening yourself up to influence, valuing differences, stepping into the unknown. You have to leave the comfort zone of your own certainties. It requires the internal security built by habits 1, 2, and 3. Insecure people tend to cling to their own way.
So how does synergistic communication look in practice?
It starts with the Habit 5 Foundation high emotional bank account, genuine desire to understand. Then it involves approaching differences not as threats, but as opportunities, believing that by combining perspectives, you'll find a better solution.
Like the example of the husband wanting the fishing trip and the wife wanting to visit her sick mother.
Perfect example. The typical approaches are win-lose. One person gets their way, the other resentfully gives in. Or compromise, maybe they do a shorter version of both, leaving neither fully satisfied.
But synergy aims higher.
Yes. With high trust, EBA, win-win thinking, habit 4, and empathic listening, habit 5, they can explore the underlying needs. Why does he want the fishing trip? Maybe family bonding, relaxation. Why does she want to visit her mother? Care, connection. Once those deeper needs are understood, they can brainstorm creative third alternatives that meet both sets of needs more fully than the original positions. Maybe they find a location near the mother with great fishing. Maybe they involve the mother in a different kind of family trip. The specific solution isn't the point. It's the process of collaborative creation.
It takes valuing the differences, doesn't it? Not seeing them as obstacles.
Crucial point. Insecure people often feel threatened by differences and try to make everyone the same. Effective synergistic people realize that the very strength of the relationship is in having another point of view. Sameness isn't unity. Unity comes from complementary strengths working together.
So synergy harnesses that positive energy instead of wasting it on conflict.
Exactly. Think of all the negative energy spent on politicking, defending positions, competing internally. Synergy channels that energy into creative problem solving. It reduces the restraining forces, fear, defensiveness, misunderstanding, rather than just trying to push harder with driving forces. It's effectiveness in an interdependent reality.
Okay, we've covered the 6 habits that build independence and interdependence. What's left? Habit 7, sharpen the saw.
This is the habit that makes all the others possible. It's the habit of renewal. Covey uses that unforgettable analogy.
The woodsman sawing away furiously, exhausted, getting nowhere fast because his saw is dull.
Right. And when someone suggests he take a break to sharpen it, he says,
I don't have time to sharpen the saw. I'm too busy sawing.
it sounds ridiculous, but how often do we live that way? We're too busy doing working, parenting, living to take time for renewal, for self-care, for maintenance.
So sharpen the saw means
It means regularly and consistently investing in renewing the four key dimensions of our nature: physical, spiritual, mental, and social emotional. It's a quadrant 2 activity, super important, but rarely feels urgent until it's too late. We have to be proactive about it. Covey insists we don't have time not to. It's investing in ourselves, the only instrument we have to navigate life.
All right, let's break down the four dimensions. First, physical renewal.
This is about caring for our physical body. Sensible eating, adequate rest and relaxation, and regular exercise.
Pretty straightforward, but easily neglected.
Very easily. And neglect leads to Q1 health crises eventually. Proactive physical care builds energy, stamina, resilience. It reinforces habit 1, acting on our health rather than being acted upon by illness or fatigue. It's the foundation for having the energy to apply the other habits.
Second, spiritual renewal. What does this entail?
This connects to habit 2, our core, our center, our values. It's about renewing our commitment to our value system. For some, that's prayer or meditation. For others, it's time in nature, immersing in great music or literature, clarifying the personal mission statement. It provides leadership to our lives, connecting us to timeless principles and a sense of purpose beyond the day-to-day grind. It offers peace and perspective.
Third, mental renewal.
This relates to habit 3, continuous learning, expanding the mind. It involves activities like reading challenging books, writing, planning, organizing, limiting mind-numbing activities like excessive TV. Covey was a big advocate for reading broadly and deeply. He'd say, the person who doesn't read is no better off than the person who can't read. Mental renewal keeps our minds sharp, adaptable, and growing. In today's knowledge economy, our ability to learn and adapt, RPC, is our security.
And fourth, the social emotional dimension.
This dimension connects strongly to habits 4, 5, and 6, our relationships with others. Renewal here comes from making consistent deposits in emotional bank accounts, thinking win-win, practicing empathic listening, contributing to meaningful projects, serving others. A key aspect Covey highlights is affirming others, seeing and reflecting back their potential, their strengths, rather than focusing on their weaknesses, like Don Quixote seeing the noble Dulcinea in the common peasant woman.
That belief can actually help shape them.
It can have a powerful scripting effect. When we treat people according to their potential, we help them grow into it. It's a huge deposit, and it also enriches our own lives by fostering positive, proactive relationships.
So habit 7 isn't just one more thing to do, it's the thing that enables everything else.
Absolutely. Covey recommended striving for a daily private victory, at least an hour a day dedicated to renewal across these 4 dimensions. It's the minimum investment needed to keep the saw sharp.
And doing this creates an upward spiral.
Yes. The process is learn, commit, do. Learn, commit, do. Over and over. Each cycle of renewal lifts us to a higher plane of understanding and living all the habits. It fuels continuous growth and improvement. It's not about achieving perfection, but about constant progress. #outro.
So wrapping this up, what's the big picture takeaway from this deep dive into the 7 habits?
I think it's that these aren't just techniques. They're timeless, principle-centered approaches to human effectiveness. They offer a path back to self-control, purpose, and meaningful connection in a world that often feels fragmented and reactive.
It feels like it's about reclaiming agency in a way, giving people their lives back, as Covey put it.
That's a great way to phrase it. Empowering choice, purpose, integrity. And look, Covey himself said change is hard. He wrestled with these habits daily. But the framework is there. Following conscience, using our unique human gifts, self-awareness, imagination, conscience, independent will makes growth possible. He even later talked about an 8th habit, moving from effectiveness to greatness, finding your voice and inspiring others to find theirs, really needed for our current age. But it all builds on this 7 habits foundation.
And he always emphasized succeeding at home first, that personal connection.
Vitally important to him. No other success can compensate for failure in the home. He really believed the family relationships were the most critical, the place where these principles matter most profoundly.
A powerful reminder.
And finally, that idea of living life in crescendo, always growing, always contributing.
Your most important work is always ahead of you, never retiring from making a difference.
It's an inspiring vision, isn't it? Continuous learning, deepening contribution, always seeking growth.
Definitely. Okay, so here's maybe a final thought for everyone listening, something to chew on. In our rush to be productive, to climb whatever ladder we're on, have we stopped lately to ask why? Is the ladder leaning against the right wall for us? Are we consciously designing our lives based on our deepest values? Or are we just reacting, living by default based on external pressures or old scripts we haven't examined?
A crucial question. Are we sawing efficiently, or are we sawing in the right jungle with a sharp saw?
Well put. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the 7 habits. We hope it's given you some fresh insights and encouragement to apply these powerful principles in your own life.